Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Every Damn Friday, uh, where I try to bring you some folks that I'm fans of, people that are out doing wonderful things. Most of them are Kentuckians, and today is no different. Uh, I've got a new friend. Uh, I got to listen to him as I was traveling through the back roads of England and Wales last week. Mr. Daniel Cain, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. We bought before we recorded. We were already talking about our love of the Kentucky Wildcats and all of those things and the Reds and he was telling me about dandelion jelly that he made yesterday. So
Yeah.
so I think Daniel is going to be part of the tribe. Um, so you're from Stanford originally?
Yeah, Stanford, Kentucky. And right now I'm living near Harrington Lake in Boyle County, but still
Okay,
super close.
close to Danville.
Yeah.
Uh, so Stanford's in Bull County.
Stanford's in Lincoln, but they're still like 10 minutes away.
Okay, okay, gotcha. I
Yeah.
try to get my geography in. So in
Yeah.
my brain, I know how many hours away you are from me.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're Western Kentucky, right?
I North Central. So I am. If you go to Elizabethtown, I'm a little bit over from there, but I'm up along the Ohio River. So
Oh,
I'm
okay. I got
I'm
you.
in
Got you. Got
Breckenridge County.
you.
Um,
Okay.
well,
Is that
man,
close to Oldham?
well, it's Oldham's on the other side of Jefferson, and I'm on the western side of Jefferson County.
Cool.
I'm like an hour from Louisville. Uh, we just don't go there very much.
I got you.
You
Yeah, I
know, as a
understand.
Cats fan, man, you try to avoid Louisville at all costs.
That's right.
So, man, tell me the whole backstory. Like why is music such? Obviously, it's a big part of your life. So, where did that all come from?
Yeah, man. Definitely something I feel like I was born into. I didn't necessarily have like a playing career I was born into or anything, but my mom was just, just some of my earliest memories was my mom singing every Sunday in the choir. And then my dad was, uh, he was kind of like a regional troubadour and he ran a guitar store on our tiny main street and gave lessons. And so like on, Sundays for him, he was a upright bassman in bluegrass. And then weekend nights, he was a front man, honky tonker and a blues guy. So he was
Okay,
all
he was a
over.
jack.
He was, yeah,
But
100%.
and that's
So
kind of
he
what we all do for when we're starting. We play whatever we can, whatever we know.
absolutely, and my dad, I'm kind of the same. Our specialization is stay in general. Like we just like a lot of different stuff and roll from what you're into to the next thing. And
Well, I mean,
so,
it's like yeah, as a songwriter, I don't want to write the same song over and over again. You know,
no,
so you're pulling from all these influences and if every song sounds the same, like I don't even want to play the whole show. You know, it's like
100%. Yeah, they always say, I feel like I've been hearing echoes lately of like, if you're bubbling up ever and you put something out, you got to make sure you're down to play it 1,000 times. And I'm like, I don't know. I'll just do what I want and hope it keeps working.
yeah, yeah. So just started kind of playing out like during college or
So what ended up happening was like I'll try to give you a pretty congested life story on it, but dad was probably my biggest role model in a lot of ways, passively, like, subconsciously, not even realizing. And so like, Santa Claus put ACDC and Waylon Jennings under the Christmas tree when I was like 7. I got like my first guitar. A funny story on that. I'll generalize it and then tell you a little more. But I got my first guitar and started playing when I was probably about like 11 or 12. But then the whole time, at the same time, when I'd run downstairs, you're a kid and you just run up to your parents and tell them what you want to be in life, which would probably change a lot. I'm sure I wanted to be a pro basketball player and blah, 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 blah. But one thing that always echoed was I was like, I want to be an artist, even if that meant like visual or something. So the same guy who put me into art and put it in my hands and stuff and did it as his trade also would look at me and be like, where's money in that, son? So I had a really confusing raising because the guy who inspired me was kind of always like the pot calling the kettle. And so I didn't actually play or know that I kind of always felt like it would be a bad rebellion against my family. I was a natural academic, so I got like a ride to school through Governor Scholar program. So I did go to school and all that, and uh when I guess in college was when I started really experimenting in a lot of different ways. And one of those things that started coming out of me was like, I just want to do music. So I joined the folk ensemble at the school I was at,
Where'd you go to school?
um, Center College.
Okay, yeah. My son
Yeah,
went to GSP there this summer.
awesome. Yeah. So I did the GSP at Bellarmine in like 2011,
Okay.
and then went to Center from 13 to 17.
I'd already been teaching in high school for like 10 years by then, by the way.
That's awesome. Um, so long story short, there was a lot of time where I was playing guitar and always loving music and soaking it up and dreaming, but I wasn't like the kid prodigies you see just like out there getting on stage. Dad wouldn't pull me up for a song or anything. And usually he was like, you don't want to go to the clubs I'm playing a show at. And I was like, I understand. So it was always festering in me, but it has always been this struggle. And the biggest ticker that happened was like, I'm saying, I mentioned I played around with trying to do it with a school assembly type thing. A little that might have gave me my first time on a stage, like looking at people, even
Yeah.
if it was all of our parents. And I got out of school and I started making beats. Like I loved hip hop a lot. I still do, but I was
Get
also
down
just
with that.
thinking, yeah, I thought I might end up actually being able to get good at digital production to be a producer or something. I was just, something because I was a child of the internet as much as a child of like wood and wire. And so I told my parents when I got out of school I was going to move to Nashville and chase the music. That's literally what I said. So I worked at a pizza joint in Danville. I saved money for a year. And then, like an idiot, when I had some money I finally saved, I bought a car in all cash. And then I only had like a stack to my name. And I said, I'm moving to Nashville. So I moved to Nashville. And then that became 2 years of, to be really honest, soul searching and partying and trying to figure out life. And I never did anything towards music, to be really honest. Except holding out and not going towards something else. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
So 2020 is where everything changed for me. That's all really my whole life up till 2020 was pre-context. And then I went through just an insane flurry of events in like 3 months, 3 months. And it started off with like my mom's side, her parents passing away, or her stepdad, but he was, he
He
was
was
married to
granddad.
my grandma before I was born. So,
Right. He
he
was
was
granddad.
grandpa. He was, yeah. So he passed, and then her mom, my grandma Dot, passed, um, and that was just like the beginning. It happened, I think, in January or February 2020, February, and I just turned 25 too. So I'm like feeling like 25 is supposed to mean something. I just feel
Quarter
like an
life
idiot.
crisis.
Yeah, I was having a huge quarter life crisis. That's exactly what was happening, and I was living in like a very crime ridden area by myself in a like 400 square foot duplex away from everybody. It was just like kind of felt like I was Daniel in the lion's den a little bit. I didn't know what was going on in a lot of ways, and questioned my faith a lot of the time, really. And so that was just a little bit where I was mentally. Grandma passes. I'm like, all right, there's 2020 starting off. Well, then March 3rd, I'm living in outer East Nashville, and I don't know if you remember this, but a big tornado ripped through
Yeah.
Nashville.
I remember
It,
it destroyed the beast and all that.
yeah, it hit my house directly when I was in it, like straight
Yeah.
up, like 50 feet to me. The house was splintered. Mine, it still hit, but it luckily I survived. I'll put it like
Yeah.
that. But like the wind vacuum caused all the windows to shatter inward. The door flew in, hit the bathroom doors that me and the two people that were in my house, I had my hands on their necks in a bathtub screaming Hail Marys basically. And rips like half the roof off. So just lived, yeah, through a freaking
Yeah.
F3 tornado. That was March 3rd. So then I'm like, in crisis mode. 7 days later, the stocks crashed from COVID.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my job in Nashville was working at Apple store at the Genius
Mhm.
Bar. I was doing like tech support. And I had to pick up the way I had my life set up was very risky. And I didn't realize things like this could just derail it. But the fixed pay at Apple was not going to cover my rent. But I could always tap on people's shoulders, be like, "Hey, you went off this weekend? I got to cover rent. I need your." Basically, is
Yeah.
how I was living life, like just
Yeah.
slinging it. So then, because of COVID, we're not allowed to go into work. I can't pick up any extra pay, so my fixed pay becomes this thing, and I'm can't even pay for the place that I can't live in right now. So
Yeah. You're homeless, basically.
I'm homeless, and I'm not making enough to pay for the broken home. And so I was just like, I have no idea what's about to happen.
By the way, this is a novel. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you write proper like stories, but this
Fiction
is definitely,
or not from prose. Yeah, I
yes.
don't yet, but I've thought about this stuff being pretty wild.
Yeah.
And it's not getting
Continue.
so congested, so I apologize, but
No, no, no. I love it.
I'm recalling it. Um, so that ended up happening, and luckily the insurance claim from all the damage, because I had renter's insurance by like my mom telling me I needed to have it. Like, so thanks, Mom. I ended up getting enough to like basically support myself for a couple of months and figure out what I was going to do. And so really it was like just in that limbo, and life kept going on day by day, and we're all just watching the news and seeing what the heck's going to happen next and what we're going to be forced or not to do. And about a month after the stocks crash and work gets all this stuff, I get a call from my mom, and she just tells me my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And yeah, and and I don't blame them, but they didn't call it for what it was. And my mom has early onset Parkinson's, and the day they told me what was going on, they're like, "Oh, it's going to be fine." And I happened to be studying those things in class that day, and I went to myself, "No, it's not." And it is fine, but that's what it was.
All right.
So the same thing I did with my dad. I look up what symptoms he's got, what they're starting to call it, and all this stuff, and I'm like, it's terminal. Like I just like that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
so so that was where like I can remember that exact moment. I'm like got some of my Nashville friends were uh listening to jazz, I'll just put it like that, in the house. And I walk outside to take that call, and I just remember like it's probably I think it was even a blue day, but I swear I can remember just like looking and I just dissociate, and it's like the lens in my eyes just went grayscale. It was crazy. And I just walked back in just stunned and told them that. And just like friends tend to do and that kind of thing, I'm not even blaming them. They're just kind of like, sorry. All right, I'll see you later. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was.
Like, I kind of need y'all to hang out for a while.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And then I go, you know what? Sometimes dudes are like, I know you got to just like look at the wall for a while. I don't know. So that's what happened there. And I can't really remember what happened for the next. Oh, yeah. More crazy stuff happened after that. So I started making plans to move back home in some form. And they didn't want me to. My family didn't. I just knew I needed to. It was just that kind of thing. They're very selfless people, and they're always like, in fact, to the point where I'm like, please involve me more. Is how they always were. So I'm starting to hang out at Percy Priest Lake down in Nashville all the time. On like just going into the woods onto like some private like little coastline and just hang out in the water all day and bring my guitar and just hang out because it's not safe to be anywhere else at
Yeah.
the
What else you
time.
gonna do?
Yeah. And from there, I ended up, it's never got like CDC diagnosed or anything, but I got like bit to heck by ticks like half a month after dad's diagnosis. I get like bullseyes on my leg. And then I get like this, some kind of crazy illness where like, I don't even want to say what it sounds like, but it's something was rotting off. It almost looked like for a while. I had to go to the doctor, check everything out. I'm good. Lost 20 pounds in like a week. Like
Dang.
my eyes, like I looked like I was going to die.
So
I
what
thought I
was it
gonna
like?
die from
Rocky Mountain spotted fever, or
they told me it was something like that. If it wasn't Lyme in disguise, they say Lyme's really hard to diagnose.
yeah.
So I don't know these days. When I think about it, it still stresses me out. But I kind of just ran on after. So that was like all like within like a few months, just like these
And
things.
you're thinking, what is this like? What is this pointing me towards?
Yeah. The only thing I really knew was it was pointing me towards home. And it made me look in the mirror really hard and go like, dude, like I don't think I would be proud of myself if I died today. I don't think I'd be happy with a lot of the things I'm living like. Like I think I'm actually living like I'm gonna live forever. And now I'm realizing like God
Clock
moves
is ticking.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
clock is ticking.
Yeah. And I was 25, but right there I felt like I'm 75 and I got like, who knows? And everybody felt like the end of the world was maybe
Yeah, look, man, like a lot of the things you're saying are, I feel like parallel. A big change in my life was my both of my grandparents passing away like 3 weeks apart. That's the house I live in now. Like
yeah,
they were like some of my biggest supporters, and like pushed me to do all these things. But I was like you too. Like when I finally quit teaching, because I was playing music and teaching high school, like, and they were both. I was growing both things at the same time, and it was just, and there was a breaking point where I was like, I got to do
yeah,
something, and I had some great bosses that would let me go to Nashville for a meeting and call it an appointment, and like, but eventually they're like, man, you got like you can't keep doing this.
mm,
So I was telling my dad, like, I mean, at this time I'm like 35, right, and had 3 kids, like, I'm married, like we got all this responsibility, and I'm like, Dad, I think I'm gonna take a year off and just go do this thing. And he just thought, I mean, he was worried for me, and that's why he was saying the things he was saying. But it was like, man, you've got all this security, you got this great job, you got a retirement, you got all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I just don't think I can keep doing this every day.
yeah,
And my wife was like, I can't understand why you're not happy with our life. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not you.
right.
If anything, like the 7 hours I'm at work is shining the light on how much I love my life. But the biggest part of it, I'm doing something that I'm not in love with anymore.
Yes.
I want to be doing something else.
It was a personal fulfillment type thing.
And, but then if you're like me, I did it, but then there's all this guilt with,
Totally.
am I being selfish?
Totally.
Am
I still
I
deal with that feeling every
uh,
day,
Yeah, I mean, well,
every
I mean,
single day.
I took my wife and my oldest son with me to England. I probably could have broke even if I'd went by myself, but I wanted them to experience it, and them to see the joy and that kind of stuff too. But yeah, man, like look, being an artist is I don't know, I think everybody thinks it must be like some kind of glamorous, like how cool to be creative and to be able to make things and do things. But it really is like, as much as I love it, it is like a curse because
Yeah.
it's like
The
you're
good
all
things really are the tip of the iceberg. It
yeah,
really is. Yeah, it's the visible part. Yeah, I know
yeah.
what you're saying.
It but I digress. I'm interrupting you,
Oh,
but
that's
yeah,
cool,
man.
man. This is a
Like
conversation.
it's nice to see that other people kind of struggle with this stuff too. And then when I'm doing it full time, it's like it's not what I thought it was going to be. It was just I wasn't sitting around getting better at playing guitar and writing more songs. I was spending more time trying to find work and book gigs and keep the band paid and do all those things. And
Dude, yeah, that's 100%. 100%. And
so
when
that
I
so
ever
that
finally got a brand, even if it's at a local level, say it like that, immediately so many more things flood in that actually block the creativity for me every
yeah,
day. It's like
yeah.
it's a weird limbo tango dance every day to see if I can tap into creation.
Well, and I'm gonna kind of touch on the England thing. So I immediately I get back, and you all had been there a month or so ago, and
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram, and there's this guy who's like, uh, essentially he was telling artists, he's like, quit worrying about what your local people think, quit worrying about what people in your state think, like your friends that aren't coming to your shows, quit worrying about those people. Maybe you're thinking about the wrong state, the wrong city, the wrong
Hmm.
country. There's 8 billion people. Why are you so focused on this little section of people? And it seemed like so prophetic. And another guy came in and said, uh, yeah, and 99%, like, don't block your old music. Like, keep promoting the stuff you did 10 years ago, because 99.9% of people haven't heard that. And
Yes.
I'd kind of got into that thing. Like, I was trying to be this Kentucky thing, and I didn't want you to listen to the thing I did with Jericho Woods 10 years ago. I want you to listen to what I did last.
It's
And
always a mental struggle for me to even mention that I love hip hop because of how and it's probably a bad assumption. It really is. And
yeah,
I'm calling myself out in that way to assume some imaginary base might judge me. And
as
not
soon
saying
as
that they judge the culture. It's not about anything of where the cultures rely from. It's genuinely of like, do they believe me like I believe me? But then I go,
can you be authentic and still like another genre of music?
yes. And then the truth always comes, catch 22 goes, if not caring is the way for people to believe
God,
because
that's
you
so hard.
believe and it is. I mean, some people I do watch and I go, man, they don't care. And that's like also their double-edged sword.
I
So,
mean, I think there is definitely like you have to care about the quality, and you have to care about like the version of you are projecting,
right,
because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. So I'm careful about things that I say. I don't want people to make assumptions that are incorrect. But at the
right.
same time, it's like, and I'll just use this to enter into the England conversation. Like, I loved that so much because it to them it was genuine American music.
Mm-hmm.
It was authentic
Yeah,
because they didn't have any, like, you're from America, so you sound American to me.
yeah,
Instead of, are you from West Virginia? Are you Appalachian, or are you?
right,
Because I don't live in Appalachia, and I
right.
can't hitch my wagon to that. Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this might be an inflammatory thing I'm about to say, but the crowd, I hope they're listening. The crowd that gets all like the toxic version of a Baptist church that starts to be so holy rolling about music and where you're from and do you know this person and do you know that, man, if only they could see how ironic they look because it's just the same thing as punk elitism.
Yes,
It's like punk is supposed to be about anti-establishment.
but you
This,
have
to me,
but
Appalachian movement has been anti-establishment because it's all about grassroots, it's all about the real. And then when it starts to become that, I go, man, you are establishing through this. And it's just, I see it all the time. And it's hard for me to shut my mouth sometimes, but I
like,
do. I mean, it's not worth me going and keyboard warring on people. But
well,
like, there's
and you
sometimes
don't
I
want to
just see it and I go, golly, like, can we
and you don't
just
want to cut
accept
your
each
nose off
other?
in spite of your face, because I do love all these people, right? I love all
Yeah.
these artists. This is like, that is not like, I've never
Yes.
been treated anything but wonderful by the Tyler Childers Camp, or the, any of those people, right?
Sure.
Uh, but I'm not like, I'm not those guys. But I'm still from this state,
Sure.
and I still think we are producing more. I just can't imagine a place in the world that is producing more like quality stuff. And maybe it's just because we all grew up in the church. We all grew up, blue. I live 45 minutes from where Bill Monroe was born. It's like music has always been around, and I kind of took it for granted, kind of like you did. I mean,
Sure.
choir was a big thing. Like, chorus was big at our high school, it, um, but not as a career. Like, it was like you weren't going to go be famous, even though they thought you were great. It was not a real thing. It's just like, well, you'll probably play it, at church, or you'll go out on Saturday night to the honky tonk like your dad did.
Yeah.
But I think a guy like Tyler, or a guy like Nick Jamerson, or some of the people that kind of broke through, we start looking at that going, they're doing the same thing that we've been doing for all these years, and it kind of I lit a fire and said, yeah, we are doing more, we are doing authentic stuff that sounds
Yes.
different than the radio.
Right.
And
And I want to clarify what I mean when I say the whole thing about it not mattering if you're from that holler is what I mean is when I'm from Kentucky, as someone who's younger than both those guys, Nick and Tyler, and I say the thing is, man, I was this 18-year-old hearing Bring Up the Sun for the first time, that Sunday Best album.
yeah,
And I was 20-year-old me hearing Purgatory for the first time. And then I explained the background of how I was in music from Little Stanford, Kentucky, which is right on. I'm not the heart of anything. There's the knobs on the southern end,
yeah,
the foothills, the Appalachia, and bluegrass right in the northern tip. I mean,
yeah.
we're the armpit.
It's actually one of the most beautiful places in the state.
I
As far
love
as
it.
that goes.
I love it. But I mean, when they say claiming a culture, it's like, man, I'm a Kentuckian, and the way I look at it is like these guys influenced Sturgill, Chris. They all influenced me to feel like I can believe in myself and
Yeah.
add and contribute a voice. That's as specific as it should be. Do they
Yeah.
inspire you? Then you're okay to say that you come from that. Like,
And if it's Dr. Dre, Chronic.
yeah, dude, Kid Cudi, Kanye. I mean, I know it's terrible to say Kanye West's name now, but
He's a
obviously I'm not
genius.
talking about what he's saying right now. But those guys influenced me in music so much. They talked about mental health and they just said what they said. And that was enough for me. And like, I'm just a kid with their songs on my favorite video game soundtrack.
I
Like,
love it that my daughter wanted me to take her to see Tyler
yeah,
at Railbird last year, but then I bought her the Chronic and on vinyl for
yeah,
her birthday,
that's awesome.
and she still likes going and watching like Megan Maroney. And
Yeah.
my son loves oh, I just went blank. It's making me sound old. Kendrick Lamar. My 12-year-old loves Kendrick.
Yeah.
Uh, and
I
then
like Kendrick.
my oldest is like into um, more like I don't know, like jazzy jam band type stuff, which is awesome. And to me, like that. And again, I think that's what makes Kentucky great too. Is that geographically, Nashville is. It's all. I wish it wasn't so close to us because that's the magnet. You think, oh, that's where I need to go to do the music thing.
Right.
But we had the Everly Brothers, and we had Exile, and we had like
Cage the
all.
Elephant. I
Yes.
see in your background right there. Yeah.
Listen. So this is a subtle flex. No, it's a real flex. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they
I
used to be
love it.
called Perfect Confusion, and I went to Western. So my band Floored was like the band for 3 or 4 years in the Bowling Green scene,
Cool.
and they were like 17-year-old Greenwood High School students, and they changed their name to Cage the Elephant, and their very first show as Cage was opening for us at Tidballs, and
That's
I
awesome.
still got a little sticker. And Matt is still a sweet guy, and and we communicate some,
Yeah.
but yeah, like
That's so cool.
we're that we all came from the same place, but
Yes.
still
And
it
dude,
has
they
the
influenced me. Let me say that. Like,
yeah.
the point is, like, I'm not saying the people in the hearts of cultures shouldn't be who represent the voice of cultures. What I just mean is people get so caught up judging and being careful to look for someone like they shouldn't belong. And I just look at that like a power
They're
trip.
signaling.
And it's a power position that nobody created for them. They just did for themselves at the time.
Yeah, it's on their blog.
Yeah, usually it's just for some Facebook likes.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad, dude. I feel like we're brothers already because it seems like you kind of gone through the same kind of struggles I have of belonging and
I'm
like
definitely an oddball. Yeah, I know that. But I
and
think
then
that's the beauty, man. I feel so when I finally get out of that one mindset that we can fall into, I realize it's genuinely could be my superpower. As in, like, I I feel like it's almost like a little bit of what do they say? Speaking of consciousness, like free flow of consciousness. It's a
yeah.
little bit just floating wherever you feel, man. Like land right there. Like,
Well, and I think it also gives you the ability too to like reading a room and going, this is the kind of crowd this is. I can use these songs of mine. And I think they'll respond to these, and maybe they'll find the other ones. It in England, like there was one place I played that you all probably did too, the Home First Tavern.
yes.
That was like fancied themselves an American bar, had an American flag, had like Tex-Mex food on the menu,
Yep.
and they very much wanted to hear, Hank Jr. and Garth Brooks, and they wanted to hear that stuff.
Right.
But then you go to Bala, and you're at Story Beers, and they just sit there so like wonderfully, and it's just like play us whatever you want.
Story was awesome, man. I
It,
absolutely loved that place.
it was my favorite by far.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? So let's talk about England. Tell me about how did you get roped into that, and
Yeah.
tell me about your all's adventures.
I will. Do you care if I end up telling you the second half of the what happened after Nashville though?
Oh, yes, please.
I
Sorry.
just want to let you
Yeah.
know for real because it's a long way to answer your question of how I ended up getting into music literally. And then it's like lightning speed to where you and me are talking right now.
Okay.
And it's just weird how life happens like that. But all those like what I call all those events I was describing, almost like natural disasters on microcosmic, right around me level,
Like
was it
like
was
the storm cloud was following you.
yeah. It was kind of like in Way of the Triune God, that song Tyler says, and he says, God took my head and shook it real still, and gave me a talking to. That's what it all felt like to me. It's like a destabilizing of what was a very unstable foundation I was set upon either way. So it just shook me out of my ego completely. It shredded it. Didn't take psychedelics, didn't take nothing. It just took a lot of hard times. And I went home, or I got a freaking place off Craigslist to live in like an idiot. So I ended up moving into an interesting place in Lexington at the time. Cool place, good landlord, not saying anything. It was just, again, another area where I'm like, dang, there's more gunshots. And I started going home, and I decided when my dad was sick, because of all the stuff where I felt confused, and I get it like what you were talking about now. I realized he was just caring in a way and trying to make sure that he was going to
Trying
keep
to
his
save you
kids
from
safe.
yourself a little bit and
Yeah,
pitfalls.
exactly. I look at that now, but in my early 20s, I just thought the guy hated me. I thought he wanted to hold me down. I had so many toxic things going on at the time. And I just decided to get over myself right there when he got sick. And if there was any truth to that, my dad did too, because there was a change in the way he approached things. He had a softer heart overnight. Um, and long story short, man, I'm back in Kentucky. I'm starting to let my hair grow back out. I'm landscaping off of a phone number sign I saw off a telephone pole and called it, said help wanted. Like I'm just living ground zero and trying to just figure it all out. And my dad and I were picking wildwood flower, if you know that.
Yep. The Carter family.
Yeah, and he's just liking the way I was starting to get some flat picking down. I was really getting into Billy Strings at the time, and he was like, all of a sudden, he's like, well, "Damn, son, why ain't you worked up a set yet?" Talking about like getting out and playing, and I was just like, it was like the light bulb moment for me. I was like, "What, my dad? That's like him giving me the approval to go
Yeah,
do
the
my
blessing.
dream." It really was, and like that's all I ever really wanted. Like I was just naturally geared to like want to make my family proud,
Look, 100%.
even if it made me hate myself, like for real. But like,
Hey,
I really wanted to hold out for what I wanted to do too.
after a year or so of me playing full time, my dad and I were in the same shop doing the same bullshit stuff in the shop. And he goes, I think, he said, I'll never understand what it's like to be a creative person. He said,
Mm,
because I just go to work and I look forward to the weekend and I have my little hobbies. He said, but I think I understand like what's going on with you, that you have to make something every day and it has to be new and exciting. You can't do the same thing every day your whole life.
yeah,
He said,
yeah,
I get it. He said, I don't understand it and I don't feel it, but I get it. And he has done nothing but encourage, and he was encouraging me then too. But I think I proved to him that I wasn't gonna go broke and it wasn't gonna be a disaster. I was gonna work hard towards this thing just like I did all the other things.
yeah. So you had
And
the natural adventurer spirit, and like your dad, my dad looked at me and said, "Well, son, I've realized you could shine your ass at the sky and money falls down, so I'm not too worried about you
yeah,
figuring it out." That's what he
yeah.
told me. And so right there, man, it was like a light bulb moment, and I started working up a set. I think my first cover at an open mic was "Welcome to Hard Times" by Charlie Crockett, and then "Old Number Seven" by The Devil Makes Three, and
You
then
were
I was
picking the
writing,
right ones.
yeah, and I was writing my own stuff, and I felt just like very authentically like these songs are mirrors into life right now. And then that was where I say it's like warp speed. So it's like I get my dad's blessing in the music. And, the bad stuff is that next year his mom passes, and then 7 months later he passes. And it's all during my first year playing music out. So it's just crazy. But, and I almost freaked. I had to get hospitalized from COVID the next year, almost a year direct after that tick thing. So it was just a weird, crazy couple of years. Like the people that knew me in 2018 probably just would not recognize who I am now, and I wouldn't blame them. But long story short, I go to an open mic at Austin City Saloon, Lexington, and Austin comes up to me, and I guess it's like in October 2020, and he was like, "What's your name?" And he's cool to me, and he just tells me, "Like what you're doing. Think you're gonna have real good luck at Twisted Cork. You should go over there on a Sunday open mic." So I go to the Twisted Cork, which was Mama Sue and Prentice
Yeah,
Sloan and
yeah.
Whitney and
I played
Ray.
there. Yeah,
So Whitney's running it. I get up there and I do my thing. David McLean and someone else is like having a birthday, and like I get up, they jam with me. It was the coolest thing ever. I was having fun and nervous, but Whitney gets me off stage immediately, and she's like doing the same thing, like, "What's your name?" And she expresses interest, which is very validating to someone. I'm sure you know that feeling,
oh
then.
yeah.
And
My wife said, she said, "You love to have your ego stroked."
I
And,
do love my ego strokes as
yeah,
well. Yeah,
I'd like to think that I'm more humble than that. But look, it feels good when somebody says they like what you're doing. It's very validating.
especially for like what your dream is. Like, who
Yeah,
can blame someone? It's like I felt like the little kid and the 6 year old could have still been just like.
yeah,
So she lets me open up for their band the following Wednesday. People like it. She likes it. Place likes it. They give me my first own show on like a Friday. It fills up. I look back now and I go, they must have just been like, Pat, like, let's help this kid out. I don't know, but it felt amazing. And it felt like everything was like starting out the way it should. And then, dude, long story short, that's literally how it kept going. I just kept getting another opportunity. And it was like, I don't think for a solid year, I never even reached out to a place. I was just able to cobweb during that
yeah,
time. And like a lot's changed since then, like dad passing changed a lot. I've met who's now my wife. I got married last year, 6 months ago, as of like 4 days ago, like 6 months,
okay.
4 days. And so all that's been happening, like stability past the nightlife and whatnot. But dude, that's how we got here. And then now I can tell you about England.
Yeah. Well, man, I like the whole story because, I'm 45, so I'm 15 years older than you, and I am just at a place where, and it took me, my band kind of ending because of COVID, who had like videos on CMT and like had, Grammy winning producers and all those things that I thought I always wanted. But it was
Yeah.
but Nashville had kind of turned it into this other thing.
Mm,
And then I became like, you don't want it to stop. So you
right.
kind of become, it's really pathetic, but you're desperate to keep it moving. And, and the band was so hard to keep together. And then
Yeah.
COVID kind of took all that away. And then it was just me. And, and I'm like, I'm back at work. Thank goodness I went back to work right before COVID. And now it's just like, I don't have to do, I don't have to do it any other way except for the way that keeps my family happy and keeps me happy. Like I don't have to tour myself into the ground. I don't. There's no. I don't. I don't owe anybody anything. I don't owe anybody
Right.
any money. Like if I put out 4 records a year or no records a year, I feel like I'm in such a good place, and a lot of
Yes.
that comes from stability at home and from and people who understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's why us Kentucky cats are hard to pin down for the industry because we're all so independent oriented.
Man,
As in our way of life outside of music. It's just like I
yeah,
like self-sustainability. I made that dandelion jelly because in 2020 is when I went, I better learn how to clean fish and gut deer by
yep.
myself. It was really
Listen,
all that.
I'm planning my next uh, England trip to include Ireland and Scotland, but the only time I can really go is right in the middle of gun season. So I'm second guessing.
Yeah, I know the feel that stuff.
I
This
mean,
year I ended up processing my first deer from like kill to freezer completely by myself. It was my first one. It was the last one of the season. It was crossbow, January like 18th, like 2 days
nice.
before. It was 6 degrees out. It was cool. But it's so validating when you're cooking it up in
Oh, look,
mid-April right now. It's
anytime
just
I kill a deer, the kids want backstrap that night.
yes.
Like tonight. And my youngest Jonah, he likes it a little bloody.
Oh man, me
I
too.
just imagine him just like put it on his face and
Yep. I
You
never
know,
bit the heart yet. Have you?
I don't think I'm gonna do that.
I don't think so either.
I don't want chronic wasting
You
disease.
got kids. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, man. I got kids.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
funny.
so all right. So now you can tell me about England.
Okay, so England, really have to give a huge shout out to Lance Rogers on that. Obviously, Cat Deeds,
Oh yeah.
and Martin Hurst. Did you meet Martin?
I didn't meet Martin.
Martin was our host for me, Lance, and Hunter
Okay.
when we were out
Okay.
there. So obviously, like major. I think Cat helped him find some places, and I think from there is when they decided to start For the Love of Appalachia. And I know Kat started KD Music Media, her own agency as well. And so just yeah, man, honestly, Lance Rogers' belief in me and Hunter Flynn has been a huge reason. I mean, I really say that's a huge part of it. I mean, it's really not more complex than the story you heard had me
Yeah.
putting myself out here. I met Lance through this journey at Twist Cork, and because his show was rained out in Frankfurt, and they said, "Hey, you care if this guy comes?" We met that way one night, and then Lance was the first to ever put me on a gig out of state, east and west, and then out of the country. So
Yeah.
yeah, basically Lance was who hollered at me and Hunter for the first For the Love of Appalachia and Appalachia on Tour.
I love Lance. Lance and I have a lot in common, and we've shared a lot of conversations over the years. As older guys, like you know, ageism is a real thing, and so we both kind of struggled with that. Like,
I agree.
what is our place in this thing? And yeah, but he has also arrived at a place where he's like, this is what I do. This is
Yeah.
like this is the kind of music I do. I can do it on my own. I don't need your help. I don't need a deal. I don't need a manager. Like
Yeah.
we're smart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that dude's got grit, man. Like
yeah,
he's got some freaking grit. Yeah. It's been awesome, man. He's been a great friend to me in so many ways, you know. I mean, him having some age on me is nice as a really good friend because I don't have a father out here. And it might freak him out in a weird way when I don't mean it weird when I say
yeah. You
that.
just made it weird.
But it really is just like I feel like, you're 26 and you lose your dad is like for something in me, I can just vulnerably say like I don't even if me and my dad didn't talk much, it was always nice to know there was an older opinion and who I knew I could trust to the level of security.
Yeah,
And
because literally, I wake up every day with a text from my dad that says "morning,"
yeah,
and he's probably one of the first people I talk to. I live a mile away from him,
that's
and
awesome.
yeah, and I do not take it for granted. Like
Yeah.
we talk all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so I mean, Lance has just been awesome in so many ways. In one way, I mean, I've probably honestly like sought some advice outside of like music from that guy in life. So yeah, I mean, that's really I feel like that was one of the I mean, I put music out, uh, and he was a key figure in promoting mine and Hunter's music to Cat. Cat really loved it when I was putting out the EP like
Yes, she
in
did
June, July.
because literally. So I'm going to interrupt you. So we were 2 hours from every gig. So we stayed in Stafford the whole time.
Yeah,
And so we would drive to Nottingham and we'd drive to Manchester. And
that's what we did too.
And
Yeah,
I heard Copperhead probably 30 times.
nice.
Never
That's why
got
when you
tired
said on
of
the
it.
roads to Bala, I'm like, that's some windy roads.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah,
But yeah, she is 100% a fan and is very self-aware and like and humble and just you know almost like a super fan, and I mean that in the best possible way.
totally. I think she'd love to hear that. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
deny it.
to where she's like, nothing would make her happier than for somebody she's working with to find success.
Yeah,
And she goes to all the shows so that she can see people's reaction to what's happening.
yeah, she really does. I
And it's
completely
special.
agree.
It's
It
special
is,
because
man.
look, you spent some time in Nashville. I was in Nashville for a while. Here in Kentucky or wherever, you have to have a champion because you can beat your own drum, and that's fine. But of course, you're going to say that you like what you do and that it's great and whatever. You need other people out there who are like, yes, I am one, like an advocate. And
You do, and I even attributed to scripture of exalt yourself, you'll be humbled, humble yourself, you'll be exalted. I always try to balance that, even though I'm putting my own name on a t-shirt. There's a lot of ironies there, but I think about it all the time. And you're right, man. It's the necessity is that if others champion you, if others champion me, I could sleep at night. If I'm left to champion myself, there's something that actually feels a little bit wrong for me.
yeah, well,
to champion.
And the other part of that is that we're building a community, and you're building a scene, and and the amazing part is that it now includes multiple continents, which I had our time fitting into a scene in Louisville,
Yeah.
Or fitting into the scene in Lexington, and and most of that, and I'm not even saying it's cronyism, but it takes a village, and it takes a group of artists who are like-minded. Some of the best, some of our favorite artists were associated with multiple other artists, and they brought each other along. And I don't know. I think what Lance and Kat are doing. I don't know. It has kind of changed my whole perspective on how I want to approach the next 5 years of my music career.
Yeah. I tell people this a lot. I feel like every day what my real job is like, of course I love what I do, but the real job for me sometimes is, I think it's like my real operational job is before anything's done for the day at all, is I have to completely reset my expectations on what life looks like going forward every day, every day, every day. That's how I feel, and that's probably the beauty of the organized chaos that independent artistry is. It's different for everybody. I'm sure we all have different ways to how we get there. For me, it's remaining open-ended and somehow finding the balance of actionable items within that.
And saying yes to things, biting off more than you can chew sometimes, saying no to the things that kind of go against kind of the grain, even if it's good money or whatever.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's when I thought doing it full time was the answer, it really wasn't. And I'm real lucky to have a job again that aligns with what I went to school with and that kind of stuff, but gives me a lot of flexibility to do both things.
Yes.
And now I don't have to rely on the music to make all the money for me. So it can be whatever it is. But it took me doing all the different stages of that to be good with what I'm doing now.
Yeah. I've got to tell you, before it exits my mind, one of the coolest things you might not know that involves you before we ever had a conversation. So let's see if I can show you it on the wall right here. This I don't know if you can see it right there. You see your name right there? It's Lance's album release party at Elixir.
Yes.
You had to miss, I think, because your daughter had COVID, I believe is what it was.
Yeah. No,
I had stopped. Oh, okay, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had stopped playing shows because my dad had gotten sick, and then he was dying, and I got really sick with COVID. I think some Delta variant or something like that in late 21. That was the first real year I was doing shows anyway. I probably had a delusional sense of self over what I was doing at the time. I probably did. I probably do every day, but that's okay. Anyways, so when I got sick though, it was the first time I ever had to cancel shows. And it was weird. And then Dad was inevitably passing. I mean, it was crazy. He died on December 20th, and that show was, I think it was December 12th, I believe. It was something like that. Um, but yeah, so I ended up putting this video out that just told everybody why I went completely radio silent on all my social medias at the time. And I just explicitly told people that my dad was about to die and what was going on, why I'm doing what I'm doing, who I even am. And also why, if you have been like cheering me on, sorry that I just ditched y'all for a couple months. And I put that out, and Lance got a hold of it, and he said it just spoke to him, and he had been thinking about me a lot. And then you had COVID and had to miss that night, so he gave me a call and said he left me a voicemail and just was like, "Hey, this has happened. I'm not in any way trying to be insensitive. I've just been thinking about you, and I think the last words was like, I'm ready for connection to people, basically, is what I think I said. Because I'm like, I put myself in a hole.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, it was just the weird fate and circumstances that was the first set I kind of came back to playing. And it was actually a week before my dad passed, because it was weird. Me and my dad had one conversation right there. He was so sick for months. It was almost, he started shutting people out for like a couple months. And we had one talk where he just gave me one final blessing, told me, he was like, I think you're one of the best songwriters I've ever met. Like, thanks, what? You used to just say everything sucks. and and it was kind of like, and he, the class, like, I mean, not even classic. A lot of people don't get the blessing to have this conversation with their dad. And he just straight up
Yeah.
told me, like, I need you to be strong for the family. You're my only boy and all this stuff. And I told him, he's my role model, just all that crazy emotional stuff.
You got a chance to lay it all out.
Yes. And he just said, I really hope you keep it up. And so it was like, Lance doesn't know that, when he leaves me
Yeah.
that. So it was just this weird, fateful things. And then I get that call. And so that your set was actually my first set back. And
Well,
I've
I'm
never
glad I had COVID,
stopped.
man.
Yeah, right. I mean, it worked out right there. But it's just seriously like it's just crazy. And I didn't know if you knew that. So
No,
I just wanted
I
to
had
tell
no
you.
clue. I'm sure I
You
was laying
already
in
had
bed.
a your name has already had a very intimate spot in my life.
Well, that's right.
Yeah,
Man, like, look, and again, it's like, I think, I don't know if you know this guy, Dallas Moore. Uh,
I know who he is. I don't
yeah,
know him, but
he had helped Jericho Woods get a lot of gigs in other states and stuff. Just kind of saying, these are my friends, book them. But he just said, man, you can't go away. Like you just, and now my dad, it very much like the last record I put out, I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing another record. Like, nobody gives a shit. Like, it's just for me, and that seems selfish, but I'm just gonna put it out. He goes, you never know, buddy. Like, you never know when that one song is gonna be the one that really connects with people. And sure enough, I put this record out. I recorded it in this room with two mics.
that's awesome.
Had a couple people play on it. No real production value, other than that, I fiddled around on it a little bit, and get a record deal offer, and it's an independent record deal, but it's kind of like, I tried to talk them out of it, and told them, like, I'm not your guy, because I just want to make music and I don't want to do all the other stuff. And they were like, that's exactly what we want.
That's awesome, man.
And then I reach out to Kat, and by Lance's recommendation, and I just really feel like, you know, some God puts it all in, without being
Yes,
super metaphysical, and I don't want to drag everybody into our theology, but man, it's like, you kind of just gotta, like you said, humble yourself to it, and just kind of say, do whatever you're gonna do. Like, I'm
yeah,
here.
man.
Like, tell me, point me in the right direction, and He will. But
He will.
like on
There's
a
multiple times where I felt like this year, just a couple months ago, I remember feeling this way, where, well, let me say, the England tour really did give me a good feeling. But right before that, where I didn't know what was coming up next, and I was balancing. I mean, I'm not a good balance person. I'm an all in or all out person. When our wedding was coming up in the fall, I just was like, last year I played like not many shows, and I was still in my heart holding on to this. I wasn't giving it up, but I also was like, I'm not going to let this go against this. And but there was times because of the way I was just like not knowing how to ride the waves where I just was like telling myself, I'm like, my job right now is to just hold on. That is pushing it forward. Is just to just hang in there.
Yeah.
And that ended up at one time, it finally became people are like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, I'm a weird guy. So I'd literally try to tell my friends something like this. I am fully submitting to whatever God has in store for me at this point. I don't care anymore. I trust it. I don't even know what it is. If that means I die tomorrow, I guess it's my time to go home. And like it is crazy, man, that this kind of path, not saying it means the exact same vocabulary, not saying it means the same ways our brain associates it with figures or whatever, but this path for me, and I feel like for a lot of others, it forces you to become deeper in your faith. I don't think you can be faithless and
No, no. I mean, I remember at one point um, having like I was negative $400 to the world. Like I was overdrawn $400 in my checking account and had $0 in my savings account, and was just like, oh my God, like what am I doing to my family? What am I doing to myself? And and then I shook my head and was like, okay, I'm going to call in some deposits on some contracts, and but this is never going to happen again. And it,
yeah,
you know, I got out of it, and everything was great. But but it's like on Bruce Almighty when Morgan Freeman says, if you if you wish for something, like if you wish for a new house, God's not going to give you a new house. He's gonna give you an opportunity. Maybe he gives you a hammer, but he's not going to give you a
yes,
house.
yes,
And you have to start looking at things that way and being. And I've had a lot of people say, "Man, you're lucky. Like I wish I was as lucky as you." And I'm like, I'm not going to discount luck. Like luck is definitely a part of it, but you
sure,
have to be open and you have to be like kind of like a lightning rod for that kind of stuff. Like if you're like
yeah,
you said, the people looking at their phones all the time, people who are looking at the ground, shaking their head, saying that would never happen to me. They are 100% right.
yes. Whether you
But I
think
was
you
the
can or can't, you're
but
probably
I was
right.
the kid in the middle of nowhere who would try to dunk every time a car went by because it could have been Rick Pitino going to scout somebody, and
That's hard.
I
I
did it.
love that.
I
That's
did it.
awesome. See, I love that. I just love
But
that.
I feel the same way now. It's like going to England. Like, why are you going to England? Because I want to, and because I think I can, and because I think I have something to say. And if they don't like it, I won't go back.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
and it has and I hope it did it for you. Sometimes I feel like we're chasing the same people, and we're trying to like, if this crowd likes this person, I'm thinking, how do I connect myself to those people in a smart way that I'm not stealing people, but I'm trying to, you know, we can share fans.
associate. Yeah,
Yeah, but man, there's a lot of white noise here at home, and you can literally throw a rock and hit a fantastic songwriter, you know, over here, and to be able to go somewhere completely new where they didn't know you and be received, it had to make you feel like, okay, I don't have to just play in Lexington. I don't have to, and I don't know. For me, it kind of, again, it's kind of changed the way I'm looking at moving forward. It's like, maybe I won't ever be anything other than just um, who I am now, locally. But maybe I'll have a really cool career in some of these other places that
yeah,
I can visit it 3 or 4 times a year.
yeah.
I don't know. It
I it's funny because like I feel like I see it a little clear with what you're saying. Not saying I did before, but you think about any hometown heroes here, anyways. It probably came because of how much they put themselves out elsewhere, and then
Yeah.
it's like that
Hey,
might be the cool. They're spreading our name.
yeah.
They're putting our place on the map.
You talked about Cage. They had to go to England.
They had to, yeah. Jimi
You know,
Hendrix, man, shoot,
yeah, the Beatles had to come to America. Like,
yeah,
we're not comparing ourselves to those people, but but all the people we love.
I believe that we all should. I believe in it. I believe in just dream big. That's all I'm saying. I don't mean it in a megalomaniac way. I do just mean it in.
If
I
you
know
don't think it's
Jimmy was a
possible,
very vulnerable, humble guy who, when he did a take, he was like, "How'd that sound?"
yeah,
I'm the type to get off stage and I can't help it. I don't care if we blew the doors off the place and sold it out. I still walk up to my wife and I go, "Do you like that?" I can't help it.
I asked Stella on the way home, "Did I do good?"
Yeah.
Yes, you did good.
Yeah.
Well, man, listen, we have talked forever and ever, and I'm responsible for fixing dinner tonight. Look, I have really, really enjoyed talking to you. Not that I haven't enjoyed all other 31 episodes of this, but I really feel like, man, like I can't wait to meet you in person. I kind of feel a kindred thing going on here, and I don't know. We need to play some shows together and hang out. But I'm a fan of your music. If guys, if you have not went, and this is people, the tens of you that are listening, uh, Daniel's got all of his stuff on Spotify. It is. I don't. Sometimes I kind of get a Days of the New vibe, and I don't know if you know who they are.
One of my biggest influences is Travis Meek, so I take that as a huge compliment.
All right, perfect. So yeah, and I'm old enough to remember him playing. I had some friends that kind of ran in his circle, but
yeah, man,
I was like, oh man, this is Travis Meeks. But
thank you, that's awesome.
Well, good. But everybody, listen, he is very authentic, and he's got such a cool voice. Go check out all that stuff. What kind of shows we got coming up next month or two in the summer?
I've got quite a few. Yeah, the 19th, I'm doing the 420 Pharmacy Fest for Kentucky CBD Pharmacy.
Okay, yeah.
This is my third year doing that. I'll be playing in my hometown for on the same night as the Yin and Yang of Daniel Cain for a mission trip fundraiser.
There you go.
And
amen.
Yeah, and then I'll be playing Pit House out in Red River Gorge May 30th with Cruz Contreras. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I've got all of May before that. Me and Dale Blankenship have a weekend of shows coming up mid-May. I'll do Teleco Trout Fest May 3rd with Micah Howard. And then in June, I'm going out to Virginia with him and Brennan Edwards.
Oh, very cool.
We got other things. I'm booking out right now more for the summer and fall, but
what is there a website? Is it on Facebook or?
Yeah, I'm Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. I'm pretty much just rely on media mediums for people to see like where I'm playing.
Okay.
So yeah,
all right, brother. Man,
find it. Dude, I want to say likewise to you too. I appreciate everything you said. I just want to make sure I'm able to say that for the record too.
I've really enjoyed it, and like I said, I look forward to getting together with you sometime. Everybody, thank you so much for watching another episode of Every Damn Friday, and go out and watch Daniel. He's one of us. He's one of the good guys.
Go listen to Josh, and thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for letting me tell you my soap opera.
Yes, thank you very much. Write it down.
All right.